Today, DxO launched not one, but two new software packages. There's a new release of the excellent PhotoLab software, and the FilmPack software is reborn in version 6. I'll be explaining what's new in PhotoLab 5 in this video. If you use the Nik Collection 4, you'll know DxO recently enhanced how control points work in a couple of the plugins. That feature has now found its way into PhotoLab 5. Let's look at how it works by adding a couple of control points to this image, and I'll use them to open up the shadows. The first thing I'm noticing is that there's a short delay before the control points respond when I try to move or resize them. This could be because I'm using a beta version of the software, or possibly because my Mac is getting on a bit. I'll turn on the mask now so you can see the selection created. The areas in white are what the control points are selecting. If I now switch to the local adjustments panel, you can see that it has two new sliders called Chroma and Luma. I can use these to adjust the sensitivity of the control points on this mask layer to better control what it's selecting. When I move the Luma slider to the right, it increases the accuracy of the luminance selection. The Chroma slider works in the same way, but is relating to colour. If I move that to the left, it reduces the accuracy, which widens the colour range affected by the control points. It's the centre pin of the control point that's sampling the image colour and luminance at that point. That works together with the Luma and Chroma sliders to make the selection. My initial reaction was that this is a great idea and it brings it in line with the Nik Collection. Now, I'll just create another mask layer because there's a new selection tool in the local adjustments that I want to show you. It's called the control line, and it's like a cross between the graduated filter and a control point. I can add it to the mask by clicking and dragging just like I can a gradient. But look at the difference when I click to show the mask option. The selection looks like it's been made with a control point. And like a control point, I can change the selection by moving the little eyedropper sample point. Also like a control point, I can use the new Chroma and Luma sliders to refine my adjustments. If you like to photograph landscapes, this is such a good tool for selecting and adjusting the sky in an image. Another feature of the new control line that's just like control points is that you have negative control lines. They work in the same way as the regular control line, with a sample point that you can move, but they protect the area from being adjusted. This new tool is such a great idea. The only problem that I'm finding is that there's a slight delay that I mentioned when I was looking at the control points. I hope DxO can address this. It doesn't make the software unusable, it just gets a little irritating after a while. The next PhotoLab 5 improvement that DxO has reworked is the keywording in metadata. I know metadata isn't the most exciting subject, but it is important and useful, especially if you're trying to manage a large catalogue of images. The first thing that I noticed was that the metadata panel has moved from the editing module to the photo library. This is a good move as it's now where I would expect it to be. Most people keyword images in batches rather than working on individual files, so this makes sense. If I select the image that I was editing earlier, you can see that I've already applied some keywords. I then have this second image that doesn't have any keywords at all. If I want to add the same keywords to this second image, I can now copy them from the first image. After copying the keyword metadata, I can paste them to the second image. In this example, some of the keywords I added don't apply to the second image. Previously, I needed to click each of the keywords to delete them, but there's now an easier way using the new keyword list feature. The keywords list displays the keyword database in PhotoLab together with the keywords applied to the selected image. By clicking to the left of a keyword, I can apply or remove that keyword from the image. But there's something else that I want you to notice in the keyword list. This isn't a flat list of individual keywords. They're arranged into a hierarchy which helps in organising and applying them to images. But what's really exciting for those of us who like to talk about metadata is that it's now possible to write the metadata out to an XMP sidecar file. This is a special type of metadata file used by Photoshop and Lightroom. Let's switch to Lightroom, where you can see that I've already imported the same two files. If I then right-click on one of the images, I can choose to read the metadata from the XMP file I saved in PhotoLab 5. Whilst I do a lot of keywording in Lightroom, it still gives me problems from time to time. My initial impression from using the PhotoLab keyword list is that it's much simpler and I actually prefer it to Lightroom. Now I'm sure that it hasn't escaped your attention that the manual reading and writing of data in XMP files is a bit of an overhead. Well, DxO has developed a solution for that as well. There's a new option in the PhotoLab 5 preferences to always synchronize. When DxO gave me a demo, it worked great, but then when I tried it, I found myself having some problems. I could see that PhotoLab 5 was automating the process of reading and writing XMP files, but it was Lightroom, it wouldn't synchronize these. I eventually tracked the problem down to my Lightroom catalog settings. There, the option to automatically write changes into an XMP file was disabled. After ticking this, I had to wait for Lightroom to work through writing out XMP files for my entire catalog, which took about 12 hours. Fortunately, this is a one-time process, but after Lightroom had finished, everything then was working as it should be. Now when I make a change in PhotoLab to say an image star rating, a little warning icon appears in Lightroom. This tells me the photo metadata was changed by another application, and when I click it, I can import the new settings from my computer to update Lightroom. This is easy, but going in the other direction is even easier. When I make a change in Lightroom, it appears almost instantly in PhotoLab. Another metadata change that I want to highlight is that we now have access to the IPTC data in PhotoLab. I suspect this is to bring PhotoLab in line with Lightroom, and it includes important information for anyone selling images. You have your copyright and contact information as you would expect, but you also have location information, which is often mandatory for stock photography. Whilst I like the enhancements DxO has made to the photo library, I think there are still some things missing. For one, it's not possible to access all the metadata I usually need to edit when making stock photography submissions. The title and caption fields are used by stock libraries everywhere, but I can't access them in PhotoLab. Other enhancements that I would like to see are to be able to colour code images and to create collections as in Lightroom. In this respect, PhotoLab is still playing catch up with Lightroom, but it's moving in the right direction and not everyone needs all these features. DxO claims to have improved the speed of performance in PhotoLab 5 for some of the key features when compared to PhotoLab 4. If we look at the DxO speed chart for the PC, it's showing good improvements to what were already fast times. Checking the graph for the Mac, we see a similar performance improvement except for Deep Prime. That's showing a huge improvement. But looking at the chart more closely, I can see the results are using an Apple M1 chip. My guess is that PhotoLab 5 can take advantage of the new M1 architecture, whilst PhotoLab 4 probably can't, or at least not as much. Now I don't have an M1 chip in my Mac. It's an old Intel i7 and it's around 7 years old. Because of this, I decided to run my own tests, exporting raw files in the DNG format whilst applying Deep Prime. After repeating the tests in both versions of PhotoLab, I found that PhotoLab 5 was indeed faster, but only by a second or two for each file. That said, I've never thought PhotoLab 4 was slow software. But if speed is important to you and you have a Mac with a new M1 chip, PhotoLab 5 would seem like a much better option. Now for the big news that certainly caught me by surprise. DxO PhotoLab finally works with Fuji X-Trans RAW files. It includes support for 18 camera bodies with a wide range of X-series lenses. But there is a caveat. Supporting X-Trans has been a big development for DxO, and I understand this feature is currently a beta release in PhotoLab 5. In fact, whilst making this video I did experience a problem relating to lens modules not being recognised. Fortunately, DxO suggested a fix and the software is now working again. But putting this aside, how well does PhotoLab 5 process Fuji RAW files? Well, I'm pleased to be able to say that it works very well indeed. The distortion removal is excellent, and I like that I can change the intensity of this if I find it stretching the images too much. When I zoom to 100% magnification, PhotoLab has extracted lots of sharp detail from the RAW file even before I apply any sharpening. As with other RAW files, I can apply the excellent Deep Prime noise reduction. although for some reason the standard prime noise reduction isn't available, which may be a bug or it's because I'm using the beta software. When I select the lens sharpness option with the default setting, everything just snaps into sharp focus. If I export the image to Photoshop, you can see how clean and sharp the detail is. I haven't had a chance to do any meaningful comparison with other RAW editors yet, but from what I'm seeing, I would be happy to use PhotoLab for my Fuji RAW files. I can't finish today's review without mentioning FilmPack 6, which also released at the same time as PhotoLab 5. FilmPack is a great tool if you like the look of traditional film or you want to apply interesting colour styles to your photography. FilmPack 5 launched back in 2015 and it's now had a makeover. The new version, like the old, integrates closely with PhotoLab. After installing FilmPack 6, you'll find its tools cropping up in different places. In the Colour tab, the FilmPack renderings are available in the drop-down lists. After selecting one of these, I can then change the intensity of the effect. It's also possible to access the new FilmPack Time Machine feature from here, which can help you select a suitable film type. If I switch to the FX group, you can see that there's other controls from the FilmPack like grain, filters and light leaks. These allow you to create all kinds of interesting looks for your images. I won't say any more here because I'm planning a further FilmPack 6 video. Now to the question of price and how much these packages cost. It's true that DxO software isn't the cheapest, but you do get excellent image quality for your money. And unlike some software, you're buying a license, you're not renting one. DxO also has some decent launch offers available until the 14th of November 2021. But do be sure to check if you want the Essential or the Elite version before purchasing. Not all the features are in the Essential version. Also, if you want to purchase an upgrade, you do need to own PhotoLab version 3 or 4. The upgrade price doesn't apply to earlier versions of PhotoLab. When it comes to FilmPack, there are similar deals on offer, but again, you'll need a FilmPack version 5 license if you want to upgrade. Now, if you want to know how to get the best image quality out of PhotoLab, go watch this video. I talk about Micro Four Thirds processing in it, but the same points apply to other cameras. So have fun and I'll see you soon.